Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our TNA show for the week. Let's jump right into this head first, folks. First we have Bully Ray and Brooke Tessmacher coming to the ring. Bully starts cutting a promo. The rest of the members of Aces and Eights come out. There's a noticeable tension, especially with Nux, who seems to be the leader of the other three. Bully Ray sets up There's already been a match set up to Aces and Eights versus the Main Event Mafia. Bully Ray lets them know if any of you guys lose in the match, you're going to be out of the group. Setting up for the angle later on. Okay, opener. I think what Aces and Eights has really run its course. They need to ditch it. Hopefully it doesn't go beyond Bound for Glory. But, I'm just tired of it at this point. Like I said, it's run its course and there's nothing fresh or interesting coming from it. Next up we had a 6-person tag match. It was the Bromans and a surprise guest who was Gail Kim, because there's only 2 women wrestlers on the roster right now other than Velvet and Brooke, who haven't wrestled for months either. We had Gail Kim and the Bromans versus Joseph Park, Eric Young, and ODB. Speaking of something that's run its course, it's been 18 months since the Joseph Park character has been introduced looking for Abyss. They've totally ignored that part. Abyss is come and gone. They are still doing the blood thing for over a year, which no one's explained. It's another thing that's just run its course and probably about 7 months past its expiration date. At some point there has to be the payoff. Do we find out he's both Abyss and Joseph Park? Does he find does he find Abyss and then go back to being a lawyer? Is Abyss gone and now we only have Joseph Park? But at some point we have to have a payoff. Why does he turn into Abyss when he bleeds? Why do you never see the two? Why did he stop looking for them? Anyhow. The face team, Park, Young, and ODB win, as we all expected. The match itself was good. It was a nice little comedy match. I mean, good way to open the show, get you excited, get you going right away. And next up, this was my favorite part of the night, personally. We had Austin Aries in the ring, cutting a promo, talk about the direction he's taken. He was interrupted by Kenny King. And Kenny, ran him down, sneak attacked him, turned it right into a match. Somebody, I forget who it was, I believe it was Bunkhouse Bob Delph, one of my friends on Twitter, asked if Aries was being punished wrestling King. I think it's more of the other way. I know that Aries and King have a friendship going back to their Ring of Honor time where Aries kind of took him under his wing. I think Aries is trying to raise King up and get his level up. Which this was about a 5-minute match, but as good as you could get with a 5-minute match. I don't know if Kenny King was busted open the hard way, or it was part of the plan, but he was bleeding pretty bad. It helped with the drama of the match, which leads me to believe it was part of the plan, but also the match itself was good. It was really good. Austin Aries picks up the win. But Kenny King did not look like he was out of place there. It looked like he belonged. Hopefully this leads to bigger and better things for Kenny King. I like the fact that Austin Aries would put on a great match with someone like Kenny to help elevate him maybe to the spot near where Austin is. Also shows that he's confident in this spot in the company. Now, a lot of people would say that's a Ring of Honor dream match, which gets back to our question of the week from last week. Segue. What is your TNA dream match? Now, if you guys remembered, I put one restriction on it. Both wrestlers had to have at least wrestled in TNA one time. Now, we have some answers from a couple of our friends. The first is from James King. Senshi versus RVD. Senshi, a.k.a. Loki. I think it'd be a nice match. Nice, hard-hitting, lots of kicks. I could see where you would go with that. I think it would be awesome myself, and you'll see why when I mention mine as well. Next is our friend Metal Ruler 45. Mine would have been AJ versus Aries, but that has happened, so Aries versus Punk is my choice. Judging by the match they had in Ring of Honor, I don't blame you for picking that at all. That was a great match many years ago, probably about 8-10 years ago now. But I can see, I mean, that's a great pick. Aries versus CM Punk. I don't know if CM Punk TNA version would be able to hold a candle to Austin Aries, because TNA version of CM Punk wasn't as good of a wrestler as he is now. Now my personal pick, then you'll see why I mentioned Senshi, is Triple X versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Now if you remember Triple X, a lot of people didn't watch TNA when they were in there. It was Elix Skipper, Christopher Daniels, and Loki. Basically, they were under the Freebird rule, where any two of the three would wrestle at a time, or all three. And just an awesome X Division tag team in the beginning years of TNA when they were building. And the Motor City Machine Guns, probably my favorite team that's come from TNA. I think they were awesome there. There's nothing about the Machine Guns not to like, and they just barely edge out America's Most Wanted in my opinion. But I think that Triple X versus the Machine Guns would be a wonderful tag team match. It would be great. We've seen Triple X versus America's Most Wanted and their feud, how awesome that was. We've seen the Machine Guns and Beer Money and how awesome that feud was. Put the two together, I think you have the makings for a great tag team match and great tag team feud. Now, coming off of that, our question of the week for this week, we've seen two promo hype videos, whatever you want to call them. One for Lady Tapa, who we seen last year in a gut check segment, and one that just said Ethan. Rumor is it's from a wrestler named Ethan HD, who wrestles, I believe, out of Portland. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. I know someone has told me he wrestles on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I haven't actually I've seen pictures of him, not seen him wrestle. The question is, out of the two that they're promoing, who are you more excited for? Lady Tapa, who we've already seen a little bit of, or Ethan, who we don't know that much of, or if you might know a little bit of him. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments, and we'll come back on that next week to give you our opinion and your opinions too. Coming from that, we had Hulk Hogan in ring, cutting a promo about what he's going to do later on tonight, basically wasting time, coming up and taking air from other wrestlers that could have been on the show. I didn't see James Storm at all. Some excellent wrestlers that didn't get TV time, so Hogan could be in multiple segments again. One of the many reasons why Hulk Hogan needs to go from TNA. Now, our next match was for the X Division Championship. 7-time X Division Champion Chris Sabin versus Manic, the newly heel-turned Chris Sabin. Used Velvet Sky a couple times as a distraction, tried to cheat his way to a win. Manic gets the win. After the match, Aries comes out to stop Sabin from attacking Manic. Basically, I think setting up a feud between Sabin and Aries at some point. It was a good match. I thought Aries versus King was better, but this is very serviceable. Good, probably the second best match of the night, and probably the second best segment of the night in my opinion as well. Next we have the 6-man tag match, Aces and Eights versus Main Event Mafia, precursored by Magnus in the back talking about Ego attacking him and Sting saying we need to get rid of the main. Our goal is to get rid of Aces and Eights. We'll worry about them later. Which we had them come out, and sure enough, Ego attacks Magnus again. During the match, Aces and Eights fights him off. Aces and Eights eventually gets the win. Sting has Wes Briscoe tap out, which brings out Bully Ray. He insists on them He insists on Nux and Bischoff taking the colors off of Wes Briscoe. When they refuse to, he hits him with a pile driver. Says, if you guys don't take off his colors, I'm going to do it again. They take it off. Bischoff goes to hand it to him. He says, no, I want him to do it, pointing at Nux. Nux hands him the colors, the vest, whatever you want to call it. I'm not big on the biker lingo. I'm sorry, folks. If you guys are bikers watching this, I don't mean to offend you if I'm saying the lingo wrong. He gets the vest. They carry out Wes Briscoe. Aces Neat's down to 3 members, 4 if you count Taz. And like I said earlier in the show, it's lost steam and it's lost its purpose. At this point, I don't know why they're going forward with it. But like I said before, hopefully Bound for Glory will be the end of Aces and Eights. Next up, we had our main event segment. Of course, the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan's out there trying to iron out the differences between AJ Styles and Dixie Carter. Hogan offers AJ a contract. Dixie comes out, runs down AJ, basically talks Hogan down, saying, I brought you in here to help, but I make the final decisions. Rips up AJ's contract. Tells Hogan, are you going to be on Team Dixie or are you going to go? And gives him a week to decide what he wants to do. We'll find out next week if Hogan's gone. Rumors are his contract's up. Hopefully, and I hate to say this because I don't want to see anybody lose their job, but hopefully Hulk Hogan gets let go. I think the money they're spending on Hulk Hogan's contract, combined with the negative connotations he has on the product, is bringing TNA down more than it's given it any push. I think the Hulk Hogan being in TNA push, which there was a lot of eyes that turned to TNA because of Hulk Hogan. I'm not gonna deny that. I don't think anybody will. However, they didn't stay. They didn't stay around to watch the product. So let Hulk Hogan go. He could go back to WWE, get a Legends contract, show up on their Raw anniversaries or whatever else they do, show up during the hype for WrestleMania, do special guest appearances, all that good crap. Let him do that. Let TNA be run without him. Let the new blood come in, no pun intended. Let fresh faces take over the company and bring it to where it needs to be. Speaking of Hogan, our Hulk Hogan Thunderlips count for the week. Woo! 4 Hogans. Much too much if you ask me. I think an authority figure is like this on a 2-hour show, you should only see a couple times. And I think there was a couple segments that were just Stroke Hogan ego segments. The promo, talking about the promo later, that, like I said, that was some time that could have been filled with a decent match. When you got guys on your roster that are just sitting there doing nothing or doing run-ins, you got 3 of your best wrestlers on the roster and all they did during the show was a run-in. Why couldn't they have had a match instead of the Hogan promo that we didn't need? I'm just saying. And I hate to sound so negative on it. It's just my opinion. It's one of the things that really is hurting TNA right now. It's taken it from being where it could be to where it is. And if you remember, I would say about 2006 through 2010, TNA was amazing. Even before that, 2002 to 2006, when they were trying to get their footing, TNA was really great. I mean, there was real promise there. Hogan came in, there was a little bit of buzz. As soon as the buzz died, you see TNA, the Hogan-Bischoff regime has taken everything that's special about TNA away and made it a carbon copy of WCW/WWE and business as usual. The thing that we loved about TNA is that it was different. It highlighted the X Division, which basically was an extension of the cruiserweight division, which so many people loved. It highlighted the tag team division, which nobody else in America at the time, aka WWE, was doing and still doesn't do properly. It highlighted knockouts wrestling, women's wrestling. A lot of people really do like that, myself included. I like a nice mix. I like to see tag team matches. I like to see lightweight, cruiserweight matches. I like to see women's matches. I like hardcore matches. I like a nice brawl. I like an intense feud. I like feuds over the title. I like factions that have meaning. I like a little bit of everything. Wrestling's like a variety show. Too much of the same thing is no good. And that's, in the Hogan mentality, he's running it, him and Bischoff and whoever the decision makers are at the time, are running it as WCW, WWE clone, when they should be running it as a separate product with separate goals. Just my opinion. Anyway, after that little bit of a rant, going into our ratings for the week. If you've seen us before, we have a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. 1's a Jesse Goddard, 2's a Garrett Bischoff, 3's a James Storm, 4's a Christopher Daniels, 5's a Bobby Roode. I'm giving this a 2, a Garrett Bischoff. Like I said, too much Hogan drug me down. You know, the Aries and King match and the Sabin versus Manic match were amazing. I liked them. The 6-man match, it was there. The comedy match to start the show, okay, it was good. I'm not going to knock it. However, they didn't build on the good stuff they had. They focused on the bad stuff they had. The terrible Aces and Eights gimmick, which has well run its course. Hulk Hogan, you know, full ego Hulk Hogan trying to take over the show. And it drove it down to me. Made it something that I almost didn't want to watch. At points I wanted to turn it off. And that's bad because I'm probably as big of a wrestling fan as anyone I know. So if I want to turn it off, that means a lot more people turned it off. But basically, that's all I have to say about this. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.